Hello and welcome. I'm using a new mic. I'm switching up the background a little bit. I'm feeling all right. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this background instead. I think I like it. Anyways, today we're going to talk about the updated timeline for the second stimulus check and the next stimulus package. You know, those resolutions that we've been hoping for on everything from unemployment to SNAP benefits to small business funding, all of those things. And then at the end of this video, we're going to do a much needed switch up and talk about the stock market and its current state of affairs. Starting with the timeline for the next big package. Well, the Senate left Washington yesterday and won't return until September 7th. They figured that there's no point in taking up their whole day with their 1.5 hour sessions if the House is already out of town and there's just no deal in sight. So, no matter where you sit on the spectrum of there should be a big stimulus package to no stimulus package at all, it still is a bit frustrating to see our representatives can't even make a decision amongst themselves. I've said this before, but it's kind of like the girl or the guy or whatever you're into that's playing hard to get, but leaves just enough hope that something might just work out. You know, like they text you saying hi with some heart eye emoji, but then leave you on red for 3 days. The Senate is ghosting us. Our hearts are broken, and we swear to ourselves this is the last time this happened, but we know deep down it might happen one more time. Okay, but in all seriousness, despite the fact that we aren't getting a stimulus check or a package in the next couple of days, that doesn't mean we're not going to get a resolution ever. I really do think that we will see a resolution. Most people agree there will be a resolution. Unemployment is still over 10%, thousands of businesses are closed, and millions of people are still struggling. There will be another relief bill. It's just a matter of when will it actually happen. It's unlikely that we see anything done before September 7th. However, I suppose it's not impossible. During recess, the Senate still holds pro forma meetings, and there's a slim chance something could happen there. But instead of me explaining it, here is what McConnell has to say about that. He said, "We will have our regular pro forma meetings through the end of the Senate state work period. If the Speaker of the House and the Minority Leader of the Senate decide to finally let another package move forward, it would take bipartisan consent to meet for legislative business sooner than scheduled." So basically, if something like this happens, senators will be given 24 hours to return to Washington and cast their vote. However hopeful that McConnell is about this happening, the odds again are very slim. Senator Chuck Grassley commented on this, saying that if an agreement wasn't made by yesterday, there probably won't be any agreement until mid-September. So what is a more realistic timeline for the next package? Well, again, the Senate and the House are on their recesses, or they call them their state work period, until September 7th. After the 7th, they will reconvene. Hopefully they will reconvene with some sort of plan and get right into negotiations. Let's say negotiations last 2 weeks, which would stretch until the 21st of September, and a bill gets voted on by both the House and the Senate, then followed by the President that same week. In that case, we'd be looking at a bill in effect around September 25th. From here, if you're hoping to get a stimulus check, you'd then be looking at around October 16th to October 24th for electronic stimulus payments, and then from around October 24th to late November for mailed checks. If you received an electronic payment last time, you would likely receive one again this time, and the same goes for a paper check. They're likely to use the exact same systems that they did the first time. There shouldn't be any form of re-registration or anything like that, since there hasn't been more taxes filed. It's all based off of the same things, basically. But back to negotiations. Pelosi is saying she will resume negotiations once Republicans agree to something around $2 trillion. She says this is a fair range in the middle of their $3.4 to $3.7 trillion package and Republicans' $1 trillion package. I do find it interesting how the House bill was originally $3 trillion, and then we started hearing $3.4 trillion, and now it's $3.7 trillion. Seems to just be getting a little bit bigger every time it's referenced, but that's neither here nor there. Many Republicans don't seem to agree with her sentiment, though. I have been saying this for more than a month now, but I still believe we'll probably see something agreed upon around $1.8 trillion. Just slightly below that, let's meet in the middle kind of mark, because Republicans have been so adamant about keeping it low, but that'll be just enough to kind of appease both sides, I believe anyways. I have been told, though, that representatives may not be feeling that immediate action is absolutely necessary because the stock market is doing quite well right now. And this is creating an illusion that the economy as a whole is also doing quite well. The S&P 500 is at pre-COVID levels, and any normal citizen can look around and realize that that just doesn't quite add up. How can we have triple the level of unemployment, aka 3 times more people who don't have as much money to buy things than we did back in February, but the markets are showing that, hey, that doesn't really matter? Just doesn't quite line up there. I've been saying that the markets don't feel right for a while, and now I'm not the only one who feels that way. Gene Goldman, Chief Investment Officer at Sentia, says equity markets are seeing a V-shaped recovery, where everyday people and businesses are seeing a U-shaped recovery, and I think that's a great way to explain it. He goes on to point out that all of these people who lost their jobs and were relying on enhanced unemployment to pay their bills are the same people who are supposed to buy things in the economy and turn this economical wheel that brings money to small businesses, gets people rehired or to remain on payroll. All of these things are essential to getting the economy actually back to where it was before, not just this superficial level of where the markets are at. I can say from my personal experience, my business has seen some recovery since April and May. However, we still are far from where we were last year or the year before that, and it very well might take 2 or 3 years to get back to normal. We've gone from being down around 50% or more in revenue to maybe 30 to 40% on a month-to-month basis. I mean, lucky for us, we're lean and sustainable even at that level, and I'm grateful. I'm not a huge spender and I don't have any big debts with the business, so I can afford to keep my employees on payroll, but this is just not the case for many other businesses, and really we're not out of this. The longer this takes, the more businesses we will see failing, and ultimately that means more people out of work. But back to the stock market. Another major reason why numbers may look much better on the surface than reality is of the S&P 500, which contains 500 large businesses on the stock exchanges, that contains just 5 companies who make up nearly 25% of its entire value. 5 companies out of 500. Those companies are probably companies you've heard of. They go by the names of Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Netflix, and Google. They make up nearly 25% of the S&P 500's value. All of these companies have benefited in a large way from the pandemic, which only helps to exacerbate the discrepancy between reality and where the markets are at. Another reason why the markets seem to be doing better than real life is because, by definition, public companies, the ones anyone can buy stock from, have easier access to money and investment than a private, local, or small business does. It's kind of like the too big to fail mantra, except it's more like big enough to have a chance to succeed. So what can we expect to happen next? Well, there's really only 2 options here. Either reality catches up with the markets, and it would need to do a whole lot of catch up to hit that mark, or there is a major correction. Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, thinks the latter is the case, and this is a direct quote from him. He says, "This market feels overdone, overvalued, stretched, speculative. Pick your adjective. There will be a day of reckoning, but who knows when it will occur. The irony is that it might happen after the pandemic." So no matter what you believe might happen next, right now may be a time to just kind of play it safe and not extend beyond your risk tolerance. If there does happen to be a correction, though, this is when we'll see huge opportunity again for some great buys, like we did as soon as the pandemic happened. So this is all I have for today. If you enjoyed this video, consider saying thanks by clicking the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We're almost to 100K. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.